Good day to you lovely people, it's David Anthony, the creepy bard, coming to you from the Ma'ale Olota Gardum here in Svat. In this city, this stairway is very well known. It is famous for being so fucking long. Look at this thing, it goes all the way down that way, and then all the way back up that way, all the way to the top of the city. And so I'm going to walk up those stairs, and on the way I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the city. So, Svat is 2,000 years old. But that being said, this stairway is actually relatively new. It was built by the British during the 1930s, and it was built for the express purpose of separating the local Jewish and Arab communities. You see, back then Svat was a mixed city with Jewish, Christian Arab and Muslim Arab populations. The British policy when it came to the mandate was divide and conquer. Not just the mandate, but in their colonies in general, their whole thing was divide and conquer. The whole idea of it is you take over a colony, you find two ethnic groups living there, and you get them to hate each other. So that way, they'll be busy fighting each other instead of fighting you. So this stairway was meant to be an actual physical barrier between the Jewish quarter to my left and the Arab quarter to my right. Now, in 1947, the British had decided that they'd had enough of it. Because, you see, before the British came, the Arab and Jewish populations actually got along pretty well. But then the British came with their divide and conquer thing, and by 1947, you had various Arab militias known as Fedayeen, as well as various Jewish militias such as the Irgun, the Palmach, and the Haganah, which eventually became the Israeli Defense Force. And they were all making various attacks on the British and each other. So by 1947, the British decided, screw you guys, I'm going home. And they went to the newly created UN and said, hey, for your first problem to solve, deal with this. So, the UN decided to partition the land between the Arabs and the Jews, between the Arab Palestinians and the Jewish Palestinians. That's right, back then they were both called Palestinians. This was in November of 1947. And when that happened, the British decided that that's it, we're pulling out. And whenever the British pulled out of a particular city, immediately violence erupted as they left, as either groups of Fedayeen attacked local Jewish communities or Jewish militias attacked local Arab communities. It was complete chaos because at the time there was no central government for either the Jews or the Arabs. Eventually, Ben Gurion in Tel Aviv would declare Israeli independence, but that wouldn't be until May of 1948. So in the meantime, it was all chaos. Here in Svat, the local Fedayeen attacked the local Jewish community. The local Jewish militia did what they could to try and defend, but they didn't have the training. And so they called Ben Gurion out in Tel Aviv and asked him, please send us some soldiers. And the only thing that Ben Gurion could supply was about 20 Palmachniks. That was it. When they arrived up here, they decided that they were going to take the British police station right behind me. Now, when the British pulled out of any town, they always had to make the decision, who are we going to give the local government offices to, the Arabs or the Jews? And they decided to give the local police station to the Arabs. And this dominates the city. If you look out behind me, you can see the rest of the city just kind of goes down the mountain in that direction. So when the Palmach arrived, they realized we need to take this police station. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to control the city. We're not going to be able to save the local Jewish community. Over here, you will see the pillbox. Up on there was a machine gun turret that could dominate both the stairway and the rest of the city, everything going down that way. Over here on this other side, you will see that there's a door up here that appears to be leading to nowhere. Well, the truth is it doesn't actually lead to nowhere because there used to be a wall that door led to. A wall that connected this pillbox to the police station over there. The Palmachniks decided that in order to take the police station, they had to destroy that wall. Unfortunately, they didn't really have anything to use to destroy the wall. They did have one thing, though. The Davidka, a local militiaman, had thrown this thing together out of old car parts and plumbing materials and all sorts of other random shite that he had lying around. And that's it. That's the Davidka. That sorry piece of machinery. It's what the Palmach had at their disposal to destroy that wall. So they figured, all right, I guess we'll use what we got. And so they set the thing off. They aimed it at the wall. It made a huge noise, an enormous explosion that was heard for miles. And the shell came out of the top and just went, and that was the end of that. So the Palmach realized, well, that's not going to work. So instead, they brought out the dynamite and they figured out we're going to blow up the wall that way. They managed. They blew up the wall. They eventually took the police station. And when they got up to the top of the police station, they looked out at the valley below. And when they looked out at the valley below, they saw all of the Arab militias, all of the Fedayeen, were in full retreat, completely retreating. They had no idea why, but they had control of the city, and that's all that mattered. Later on, it was discovered that the Fedayeen heard the explosion from the Davidka, and they thought it was a nuclear bomb, because they had heard stories about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they figured, That's it. The Jews have a bomb. We better start running. But it wasn't a bomb. It was the Davidka. It was this sorry little piece of machinery right here that ended up saving not only Tzfat, but the entirety of the Galilee. So, I'm going to keep continuing up in that direction, up to the citadel, where there are more stairs. More stairs. Tzfat is a land of stairs everywhere. I'll see you again soon.